else, I think, but I can't remember, for £60. And like, I'd asked £60 for the watch on its own, so yeah, there it is. I said that was just a bit of iron laying down flat at the bottom of the hole. But I'll see whether or not that was the only target there. But I was really annoyed because there was a pocket watch being sold in horrible condition, and it had AF next to it, which means as found, which means there's usually something wrong with it, so they're not repairing it or anything. And it was a pocket watch in pretty bad condition, along with a bracelet. And it was like, start the bidding at £30. No, 20. £10 then. Nobody for £10? Come on, £10. And nobody bid for it. It wasn't a lot that I was after, but I thought, well, I'll bid for it. And just as I pressed bid, he said £5. Usually they'll just send the lot immediately, but he said £5 just as I pressed bid. And unfortunately, I had to pay £10 for it. But if you're on the Discord, which you should be, you'll see how I've restored it. If you're not on Discord, I can put it on Patreon. If you're not on Patreon, I can put it on nowhere. But I've restored it, and now I should be able to get a decent amount for it. I've ordered a crystal to go on the front, because the crystal is the glass that goes on the front to cover the face of the watch. So I've ordered one on Amazon for £2.99. Hopefully it fits. Should do, hopefully. If it doesn't, I'll just get the next size up. Well, you're a subscriber now, Red. You're able to get one. I haven't ever done that, Red. That's why I do the pinpointing. The pinpoint does, so if I got something there, I'll go duh, 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 duh. I know it's in the middle there, then I go 90 degrees, duh, 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 duh. I know it's exactly in the centre there, so I just dig around it. I've scratched things before, unfortunately. I have scratched things before, but that doesn't usually happen at all. Very rare. It's usually if it's a very deep target, or I'm using a very big coil, or if it's on its side. If it's on its side in the hole, very, very difficult to get to pinpoint it correctly, because the detector thinks it's in a place where it actually isn't. Anyway, so I took the hands off of the watch and gave the face a clean. I completely polished the whole thing. I'll give you a fun fact about pocket watches if you want. Only if you're interested about it though. If you're not, then that's fine. But I always find that continental silver tarnishes a lot worse than English silver. I don't know why, but it seems to. Okay, fine now, IG. Well, this is Kendall, the pocket watch I got ended up to be Kendall & Dent, which is a London maker of pocket watches. But I think all of their cases, all of their original pocket watch cases are silver, but they're continental silver. They haven't got hallmarks, but they've got 3 lions on the inside. Lion, then lion, lion, like in a triangle sort of shape. Just 3 lion marks. Continental silver generally doesn't sell as well as hallmarked English silver, but it's still silver. And underneath it says 0.935, which is the quality of the silver, 93.5%, compared to English sterling, which is 92.5. Now then, the reason it's 935 silver rather than 925 is because of it's made in Switzerland. It's the Swiss process. To have something assay marked, right, so to have something assay marked in the UK, or at least you used to, they would take a scratching of the silver, look at it under a microscope, and they would take out the pieces of alloy. They'd weigh it first, take out the alloy pieces, and whatever the silver was left, they'd weigh that, and the difference would be what the alloy would be. So they could say, okay, that's 92.5%, but in the UK, if it's less than 92.5%, it would be rejected. You couldn't assay it, even if it was 92.49%. So the vast majority of London makers would put in more than 92.5%, probably 92.35. Wait, what was the question again? No, they probably put in 93.5, because when you're scratching off the piece and looking at it under a microscope, Amy, good to see you. It's pretty much impossible to get it absolutely completely accurate, especially in the 20s and 30s and even 1900s. But in Switzerland, there is a 5% leniency. So if it was 5% under, it was allowed to be hallmarked. 5% over, of course, is allowed to be. It could be over as much as they like. So they did 93.5%, so that they could do exactly 93.5, and it would be sent over to London, and the hallmark would be okay. It would be accepted, because if it was less than 92.5%, it would be rejected in London, even if it had a continental hallmark. So that's the reason why. Anyway, so Kendall & Dent of London is a Swiss-made watch. The movement itself is Swiss-made. So they would have had the cases made over in Switzerland, and therefore Swiss silver at the same time. That comes over, and yeah, that's how it is. So I cleaned up the watch completely, and gave it a good polishing and everything. I took the hands off to clean the face of the watch. Then I replaced the hand. I replaced one hand actually, because the one hand was bad. The movement itself works wonderfully. I've never known a watch last so long. It runs for 45 hours. Seriously, 45 hours it runs for on one turn of the one wind of the watch. Oh, do you really, Amy? Nice. And you do metal detecting. Goodness. It is indeed OIG. It's blue now, currently, in the place. What antiques do you specialise in, Amy?